of jurisdiction and subsequent prosecution of Ms. WC is consistent with international law on 4 grounds. First, Your Excellency, is that the forcible transfer, or if you may call it abduction, Your Excellency.
Kidnapping.
The
unlawful kidnapping. Let's call a spade a spade.
Indeed, Your Excellency. The unlawful kidnapping of Ms. WC cannot be attributed to Don Navale because it was done by persons without the authority
but you
of the state.
adopted the act. When they brought her across to your territory, why didn't you give her a bunch of roses and set her free?
That would be very idealistic, Your Excellency, but...
No, but that is what you didn't do.
Yeah.
If you had done it, we wouldn't be here.
Yes, Your Excellency, certainly. In that respect, Your Excellencies, may we refer the attention of this court to the...
Before that,
certainly, Your Excellency.
Apart from the learned Chief Judge point, I think the compromise used the word agent.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Agent in the ordinary sense of the word is an agent. Right?
Yes, Your Excellency.
An agent is an agent. Right, let's not dispute about that. So, at least it is attributable, it is strongly, they would definitely argue that it is strongly attributable to the state. They are the agents. They are not say, the compromise did not say that the independent persons or unconnected persons with the unauthorized person
okay.
kidnap them. Yeah.
Certainly, Your Excellencies. Earlier on, my co-agent has referred...
Security agents.
Certainly, Your
Your
Excellency.
security agents.
With respect to that aspect, Your Excellency, we beg to differ. Again, Your Excellencies, we refer the attention of this court to 2 cases decided by national Supreme Court tribunals. First, Your Excellencies, the case of State versus Ibrahim, decided in 1989 by the Supreme Court of South Africa. In that case, Your Excellencies, South Africa was held directly responsible for the abduction of Mr. Ibrahim precisely because it was the security service itself that abducted Mr. Ibrahim from Swaziland and brought him to South Africa. Your Excellencies, in the case of Eichmann, what happened there was it was the agents of the security service of Israel that made the abduction. And in that case, Your Excellencies, the abduction was not automatically made attributable to the government of Israel.
You are talking about the judicial arm of a state.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Justifying the acts of that state. Those decisions are tainted. They do not bind this court.
Yes. With all due respect, Your
It
Excellencies.
is just as much as Donavale saying that Ms. Tbilisi committed an offense according to their law. By English common law, she would have committed no offense.
With all due respect, Your Excellencies, we beg to disagree. It is a general principle...
Or by the common law of the Philippines.
I'm sorry, Your Excellency, we beg to disagree. It is a general principle of international law that judges of tribunals, Your Excellencies, are presumed to be exercising their judicial function with regularity, Your Excellency.
But that depends on the domestic judicial system. Apparently, the compromise says that it was taken over by military decree. So let's not discuss too much into the independence of the Supreme Court of Donovan or independence of the judiciary in Donovan, but your statement that judicial arm is independent may be true on a general basis, but you cannot be assumed that it is particularly true in this case.
Given the facts of the compromise?
Your Excellency, we beg to on this respect, Your Excellency, we beg to disagree. We refer the attention of this court to the various decisions made by the International Military Tribunal of Nuremberg, Your Excellency. In that International Military Tribunal, the Nazi persons accused, Your Excellencies, questioned the integrity of the court precisely because the judges all came from the Allied powers. Definitely, Your Excellencies, what the Nazi accused their question was the regularity of the discharge of their judicial function.
Offenses with which the accused in that case were being tried, far removed from what Mr. Tbilisi is supposed to have committed. She was exercising her right of free speech. The Nazis were exercising their right of execution.
And genocide.
Genocide.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for pointing out that discrepancy.
I think there is a difference.
There is a difference.
If you look at it closely enough, there must be a difference.
Indeed, Your Excellencies,
So what is your answer?
Our answer, Your Excellencies, is that Ms. Tbilisi's Indeed, Your Excellencies, Ms. Tavalisi has a right to exercise her freedom of expression. However, Your Excellency, that freedom of expression is not absolute. It's a constant several exception.
It was absolute within the territory in which she was exercising it.
Certainly, Your Excellency, within the territory in which she is exercising it.
It only became unlawful because you kidnapped her.
Again, Your Excellency, we beg to differ that we kidnapped her. In any case, Your Excellencies, it is our position, Your Excellencies, that upon the protective principle of criminal jurisdiction, Your Excellency, our state is justified in trying and prosecuting Ms. Tavalisi because, Your Excellency, her conduct, or rather the article that she published, incited the people of Donavale to rise up in arms and punish.
Okay, can I make a real-life analogy? In 1991, after the first Gulf War, the Bush Senior announced that the Iraqi people should rise up. Can the Iraqi government abduct, forget the realistic thing, George Bush, number one. Number two, around 1965 or so, the former Secretary General of the United Nations called Chombi of Congo, Prime Minister of Congo, a bunch of clowns. He said that officially. He said that publicly. Can the government of Congo abduct, if there is such a law, and tried Secretary General Utant and President Bush, respectively, the government of Iraq, on the basis of your submission? Based on the real life.
Yes, certainly, Your Excellency. In real life, Your Excellency, of course we do agree that as a general rule, abduction should not be made, Your Excellency. However, Your Excellency, again, we are submitting...
But it's all right if you do it.
No, certainly, Your Excellency,
if it is not all
right.
right, then you are on very slippery ground.
Your Excellencies, we refer the attention... Let us assume, Your Excellencies, assuming but not conceding, Your Excellencies, that these acts were indeed committed by Donavale itself. It is our submission, Your Excellencies, that under the customary norm of male captus bene detentus, our prosecution of Ms. Tavalisi will still be consistent with international law. Your Excellencies, international law recognizes the right of a state to prosecute an accused even if the arrest of the accused was technically illegal.
International law also recognizes the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and Human Rights. We have the Human Rights Declaration.
Certainly, Your Excellency.
Recognizes all that. And what is Ms. Tbilisi doing? Exercising her right of freedom of speech.
Certainly, Your Excellency.
Within the jurisdiction, within where she was present.
Certainly, Your Excellency.
If she had never left and gone to the Fontaine, she would have never been in any danger.
With all due respect, Your Excellencies.
If your security agents
Yes.
had not kidnapped her, she would be in no danger. She would have not been subject to any of your penal laws. Do you agree?
Certainly, Your Excellencies.
Then you begin on that foundation, and the next logical step is, therefore it must follow that anything that happened to her in your jurisdiction was unlawful by international law, customary law. We
beg to disagree, Your Excellencies. I shall address Your Excellencies' concern on two levels. First off, Your Excellencies, on the issue of the provision on the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Your Excellencies, neither of the parties to this dispute are parties to the ICCPR, and under Article 34 of the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties, a treaty does not make an obligation to a third party. It is a general principle of international law, Your Excellencies, pacta tertis nec nocent nec prosunt. Second, Your Excellencies, on the issue of whether or not we will be directly responsible for the arrest of Ms.